All right, let's get this show on the road, hey? All right, folks, this is Sherman Ray. This is the Livin in Vegas podcast. Time to get this show on the road. Let's get going. Well, I can't hear a thing. I hope that worked. Sherman Ray, this is the Livin in Vegas podcast. I want to welcome you all to the show today. Sorry, I didn't hear the intro of the show, so I'm hoping it actually played, and if not, we'll try to figure that out next time, shall we? I'm Sherman Ray. I'm the publisher of Livin in Vegas magazine. I want to welcome you all to the show where we talk about the people, the places, the trends, the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. When you think of living in Vegas, folks think living local and the return of cool. I'm going to try to get that thing fixed there too, because that's just that's unnerving that I couldn't hear the show. And while we're kind of getting set up here, and I'm gonna try to put my earbuds in because we would hate to have a show where you actually don't hear the show, and because I just can't hear a thing. Um, so let's turn this off. And so I hope you're having a great midweek. Things are going great out here. I've been super busy, probably beyond busy. It's probably a little too busy, and I'll explain that in just a minute. But I want to welcome all of our friends that are joining us on Facebook, and you're joining us on uh, YouTube. And so if you're joining us on YouTube, I really encourage you to click on the little subscribe button that's in front of you there, and subscribe to the show where we so every time that something comes up and we have an update of the show, that you will actually get that update. Okay, so I want to make sure you get that. Okay, I'm gonna see if I get my. So I'm gonna do a real quick break here, folks. I got to make sure the show's on. I really do. So what I'm gonna do is let's. I know what we could do. Let's do the little interlude thing. Let's see if that actually comes up, and then we'll make sure the show's working. Oh, I think it did. Okay. All right, so it is working. I just could not hear it, and that's so when you do this show, folks. If you can't hear what you're doing, it makes it almost impossible to feel comfortable and to deliver a show with the kind of quality that you're used to, and it's just frustrating. So now we're back on, which is good. I've got my little earbud in, which I haven't had in a couple of about a week or so, and so I'm glad. I'm glad that's out. I'm going to welcome all of you friends that are joining us on Facebook. And if you're joining us on Facebook, folks, you're joining us on our group page, or you're joining us on our business page for the Livin in Vegas podcast. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. And if you want, you can chime in. I'm looking at the pages right now, so you can go ahead and chime in anytime you want and say hello. And we'd love to say hello to you back. And especially if you're a business owner. If you're a business owner and you would like to us to acknowledge your business, give you a shout out during the podcast. Now, this podcast goes out all over the place. I mean, it goes out not just in a couple of places, but it's out worldwide. And so if you want to shout out about your business, your product, your service, or something like that, just say, "Hey, Sherm, how you doing?" And I can see you on Facebook, and we'll definitely say hello to you. So don't even hesitate. Um, Also, so let me tell you why I've been so busy. I Many of you know I wear many hats here at Livin in Vegas podcast, and one of them is I'm a publisher of Livin in Vegas magazine, Livin Weekly magazine, so we do a lot of that kind of stuff. Well, I also just became a pastor for a local church, and or an associate pastor. So with that, you're basically doing an audit of the old system, and you're trying to fix anything that and trying to lend a hand wherever you can. Well, in our church, we had a sound system problem. Putting it lightly, we had a problem with our sound system, and so I've been spending the better part of this week so far trying to get the sound system up for the Sunday service. And so as soon as I leave from here today, once I get some of the uploads going to the internet, like the podcast and some of the newsletter type stuff, I'm going back over to the church and then spending the rest of the day trying to get it all working because we've got to get this up. So, needless to say, I've been really super busy. Yeah, I've been super busy. And so it is what it is. And, you do what you do. I love what I do. Yesterday, my pastor was doing his midweek service. And we were trying to get his PowerPoint presentation up. And I said, well, do this, do that, and do this, that. And he goes, how do you know this stuff? And I go, well, I kind of do this for a living. That's kind of what that's what I do. So when you do this for a living and you do media stuff, it's really pretty much, I just have to figure out where he's at, and then I can figure out how to do it. We actually had to redo his entire sound system. And once again, this is what I do for a living. So, and thank you, Jesus, for what you've done. Plus, we're running another group, and I've made mention of it before, and it's called Christian Business Biz LV. So, a lot of stuff, just a ton of stuff. For those of you who may not know who I am, Sherman Ray, I'm the publisher of Livin in Vegas magazine. And you can go to our website and you can download. It's a free download. You can get the Livin in Vegas magazine. It comes out quarterly. And also on the front cover, as we always talk about, love Nathan Hall. He's doing such a great job. And you can get a free download of this magazine on our website. Also, I'm a publisher of Livin Weekly magazine. And I want to apologize, because I've been so busy. We've not been able to get the Livin Weekly magazine. We're going to get it out this week, folks. It's Wednesday. It's supposed to change by Friday. But I've been telling you all about it, folks. I've just been telling you all about the Las Vegas Aces. And on the cover is Chelsea Gray. I love me some Chelsea Gray. Chelsea Gray is just a hard-nosed. She's the Charles Barkley. I hate to say this. She's the Charles Barkley of the Aces because she's probably one of the best players and gets the least amount of love. I mean, I know she probably thinks, oh no, I got a ton of love. I think you deserve even more love. So I'm gonna shout you out. I love Asia. I love Kelsey and Chelsea and everybody else. I love everybody, and especially Dearica Hamby. Love her too. But my girl is to love me some Chelsea Gray. So I'm just letting y'all know. Okay, so if I see her, I will probably stop in my track and go, it's Chelsea Gray. It's her right there. Because she's a fantastic player, just a fantastic player. So we just give her some love anytime we can. So let's pay some bills here, folks, really quick. We'll talk a little bit more about what we do here at the show, and then we will get on with the show. This is Sherman Ray, this is Livin in Vegas podcast. Be right back. Hi, everybody. It's Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast. Are you a business owner that's looking to get the word out about his product, service, or even just a great message out there? Well, we'd like to give you that opportunity by being a guest on Livin in Vegas podcast. It's super simple. All you've got to do is contact us at advertising@livininvegas.com. That's advertising@livininvegas.com, and we'll schedule you for an interview on Livin in Vegas podcast. I'm Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast, where we talk about the people, the places, the trends, and the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. All right, and we are back, folks. It's Sherman Ray. This is the Livin in Vegas podcast. Come to you Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We talk about the people, the places, trends, events. And this week, folks, we got some interesting things that are going on. Many of you know that our lake level water has gone pretty low. It really has. It's gotten to critical levels. It's never been seen like this since the construction of the Boulder Dam, Hoover Dam, whatever you want to call it, back in the 30s. And so, excuse me. And so, the federal government released a I don't know, an edict, an order that they're going to cut our water allotment, and several other states. So we're not just alone on this, folks. Several other states are getting their water allotment cut and ours is being cut by 8%. So other states that are involved in this, folks, are like New Mexico, Arizona is is part of this, California, and ours is being cut by 8%. Mexico is cut by 7%. So their allotment of water that comes from the Colorado River and kind of dogs off into the Lake Mead area, the Lake Mead Reservoir. And so the Las Vegas Valley Water District released a statement saying that yes, that where our water allotments being cut, but it will not impact us in any way here in Las Vegas. Excuse me. It won't affect us, and we've talked about this for weeks now, and because we've seen this coming, and one of the things that we've been talking about, and if you've been watching the show for any length of time, you know this to be true, that Las Vegas, the state of Nevada, is very, very, very good about how we use water. We are we've we So here's the deal. Our water allotment was set up back in the 30s. Okay, we were allotted a certain amount of water coming from the Colorado River that we could use for our valley here in Las Vegas, and we have just been good about it, and we have never gone over our allotment. That's just the way we are. We've always the one thing we can say, no matter what political party has been in office, the one thing we can always agree: we live in the desert. And we can't just be screwing around with our water. We can't just let it go, let it run and run and run. And so the Las Vegas Valley Water District says yes, even though our 8% will mean that we have less water that's allotted to us, we've never used our full allotment of water. We just haven't. California, yes. All the other states, oh yeah, they've all done it. As a matter of fact, we use the least amount of water of any state. And that's just, even though we've grown. Now, interesting thing about it is that we are predicted to have another 500,000 people show up here by 2030, I think it is. Is it 2030? I'll have to take a look at the other next article because I know that fact is there someplace. Yeah, we've got a lot of people in the valley now, but even when I was running for city council back in 2019, I saw so they have a projected plan for the city. So they have they had a 2020, they had a 2030, 2045, 2050, that kind of thing. So they have projections on what the city is going to look like in the years in the future. And so already city planners are already looking at what we can't do, what we shouldn't do. And they're basically socially engineering the city to accommodate what city planners and what our natural resources can sustain. So I know we have a lot of people here in the valley that are always talking about, well, we always have these people moving into the valley and they're just sucking up our water. Well, yeah, but those things are expected. They're expected. We're expected to grow, and that's just kind of part of the plan. So fear not, folks. Fear not. The city planners know that we're going to grow. And like I said, we are expected, I believe, and this was back in 2019, that they said, yeah, we're probably going to get another 500,000 people. So if you think the congestion in the valley is a lot now, it's going to get worse. It's going to get better. Matter of fact, let's go on to the next story, because this next story, I think, now you're going to see a little glitch here, folks, but this is really important that you actually check out this next story, because this is really important. There was actually let me see if I can get over to it. So I'm sorry about this, folks, but you'll see. Okay, so hopefully you can see this in front of you right now. This is actually a map of the city, and this is the growth of the city in the middle. And then on the outside, you can see Lake Mead and how much the water's been impacted by the amount of people that are here over the last number of years. And this is satellite imagery that they've taken, and I'm going to make sure we can actually see that on one of my pages there. So that's kind of what the imagery looks like of the city, and you can see it. So yeah, there you go, you can see it, and so you can see what the impact of growth has done on Lake Mead. And Lake Mead, like I said, is on the right side of your screen, and you can see how it kind of goes down and down and down and down and down. And it doesn't help that we have a drought. That drought has really just impacted our valley tremendously. I mean, tremendously. So, um, yeah, so that's just kind of the way it is. I mean, just kind of the way it is here in the valley. And okay, so um, we'll put up a we'll put up the link to this map so that you can actually check it out yourself, because really important. It's just really important that you're able to see for yourself visually what it is like, the population growth and how it has affected Lake Mead. Now, a lot of the pictures that you see online are of a small part of the Lake Mead, of the Lake Mead shoreline, and it shows like the water just being gone. Okay, is Lake Mead going down? Yes. Okay, there's no doubt about it. The lake level has gone down. Is it bone dry yet? No. Will it ever go bone dry? I don't know. But I can tell you right now, it has definitely gone down, but not to the fearful degree that you see in the media. Okay, and you saw the video of where it goes down. The parts where they're taking those videos from, they're taking the pictures from, are from a small section of Lake Mead. And it's all around the outside. So you see the bathtub ring around it. That's kind of the way it is. Um, let's go on to something else. Lake Mead, or excuse me, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department uh, showed off their high-tech crime-fighting tools for their annual luncheon on Tuesday, and this is pretty cool. They received a lot of money, and that went to technology and equipment, said the foundation's executive director, and this is the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Foundation. Tom Kovac said he said that it was important that people who gave money and the public saw what some of the stuff that they're actually doing. Some of this is really cool. They've got drones. They've got robots that are designed to respond to chemical, biological, and nuclear threats, along with assisting officers in response to SWAT. Very cool. So we'll leave, once again, we're going to leave a link to this story, because I think some of the stuff you really want to see. Because you think to yourself, well, we're giving all this money to the police department. Is all these police officers must be getting rich? Well, not all that money just goes to the police officers. Some of it does. Some of it goes, and a lot of it goes to um, technology and equipment. One of the things they have, this is pretty cool, and it's called a where's it at? It's a license plate reader. I want to give you the name for it. It's called the Automated License Plate Reader, or the ALPR. And what it does is they introduced this thing back in 2017. And when they did, it was immediate. Its effect on the society was immediate. It can read your license plate pretty quick. And so they were able to access their database based upon reading your license plate. And one of the stories, it was a success story that was pretty much immediate. They rescued a kidnapped 13-month-old child out of the state of Oregon. That was pretty cool. So this thing gets really good. They said the child was located by Metro in Las Vegas after the FBI and local law enforcement had unsuccessfully searched for the baby for 2 weeks. So they've been looking for this kid for 2 weeks, and once this license plate reader was brought online, they'd be able to find the license plate pretty darn quick. Pretty cool. Let's pay another bill here, folks. I'm going to drink a little bit of coffee, and we'll be back. Just a second. This is Sherman Ray. This is Livin in Vegas podcast. Hi, everybody. It's Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast. Are you a business owner that's looking to get the word out about his product, service, or even just a great message out there? Well, we'd like to give you that opportunity by being a guest on Livin in Vegas podcast. It's super simple. All you've got to do is contact us at advertising@livininvegas.com. That's advertising@livininvegas.com, and we'll schedule you for an interview on Livin in Vegas podcast. I'm Sherman Ray for Livin in Vegas podcast, where we talk about the people, the places, the trends, and the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Interesting. So, once again, hey, welcome back, folks, to the show. This is Sherman Ray. This is Livin in Vegas podcast. We come to you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to talk to you about people, places, trends, the events. Folks, if you are interested in getting to be a part of the show, and I really encourage you to do this, you're a business owner, you don't have a big budget to spend on advertising, call us, okay? You can contact us at advertising@livininvegas.com. It's advertising. livininvegas.com will get you on the show. As a matter of fact, some of you probably already know this. I do podcasts for other people. And so on occasion, I'll get a call from a client who will say, hey, can you do our podcast for you? I have no problem doing your podcast, folks. I really don't. I don't charge a lot of money to do it because it's fun and get to meet a lot of people, get to practice the trades, and we'll get the product out there pretty quick for you. So we've got a couple of podcasts that are coming out. I'll let you know about them once we get them up there, folks, and you can do that. But once again, you can just contact me at advertising@livininvegas.com. It's advertising@livininvegas.com. And we'll get you the help you need, okay? And maybe you'd like to hear my dulcet tones. That's my voice. My dulcet tones for your podcast. Love to do it. Love to do it. So in our last segment, we were talking about the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, their foundation, and all the money they're spending on this, that, and the other thing. And as I was reading more about it, they were talking about this license plate reader. We were talking about that. The company who puts together, and we'll finish with this, folks. The company that produces this thing says they do about 750 to 1 million license plates that they read every month between Reno and Las Vegas. That's a lot. Every month. And so they have 2 vehicles that are equipped with the cameras in Las Vegas, and those feed into a national database, and they're able to find out who's going back and forth. Because you know what? So those Amber Alerts that you're hearing and the stuff like that, that's part of this. Okay, it's very cool. So bravo that they're being able to help people, and we want to continue just to encourage them. What time is it? Oh, got a couple minutes. So there was actually recently there was a tiny house shelter. I'm sorry, there's something on my screen over here. I got screens all over the place here, but one's over here, and it was right in the middle of the lady's nose right there. Many of you know we have a homeless problem here, a homeless situation, a homeless, I don't know what you would call it. It's just, it's terrible. I've lived in the same neighborhood for like the last 10 years. And I've lived in this general area for like the last 30 years. So in the general area, not, within 5 miles. And we never had a homeless problem here. I shouldn't say that. We never had homeless people on the streets in my neighborhood. And now, when I drive my wife to work, or I drive down Rainbow, or I drive down, certain side streets off of Rainbow, I'm seeing them all over the place. And not just one or two, but a lot. And it's not just the people walking down the streets. It's people with carts, big carts, like elephant-sized carts, full of their worldly belongings. Well, they set up a homeless village for some of these folks. And I'm going to say Where was this at? I thought it was in northern Nevada, to tell you the truth. Don't quote me on this. I'm going to find out, folks, exactly where it was. Um, okay, it was in the city of North Las Vegas. I bulldozed a group of tiny homes that were built for some of the folks who find themselves, homelessly. They're homeless. They're shelter challenged. I don't know why we say shelter challenged or homeless. I feel bad for them. And some of these folks, there's a special report that was put out by Darcy Spears, I think Darcy, who works for Channel 13. And she did a special on these folks and went out and talked to some of those folks. And it's just heart wrenching because there are different kinds of homeless people. They're the homeless people who find themselves, oh gosh, I lost my job. 2 weeks later, I get kicked out of my home. They're homeless. Then there's some of those folks who are coming from other states. They show up down here looking for a new way of life. They haven't found a job yet. They're homeless. Then there's some of those folks who are, they kicked out of their homes and they find, they might have a family member. They've got, and they can't handle them anymore, so they kick them out of the home also. And then there's those people who say, hey, I just want to hang out here and be a free, free spirit. I like being out on the street, okay? The latter of those folks we cannot help, okay? You cannot help those people because they want to be homeless. They like being out there and love being in nature. But there are people who want to be home. They want a house. They want a shelter. They want hot coffee. They want that. Well, they provided a tiny homes for these folks. A company, and the name of it, they weren't really specific about in this article about who provided these homes, but we do know the city of North Las Vegas. Somebody lodged a complaint saying, "Hey, these people put up a fence around this homeless encampment, and they got all the permitting they needed, and they went and they bulldozed these people's homes." Now, the problem with all this whole thing is that the people who lived in those areas were of the former variety of people that we talked about, the people who wanted to get in off the streets. They just wanted a shelter over their head. So I can't belabor the point on this, folks. This was just a tragic story about how some of these folks, they said, hey, it took me, in those homes that they just bulldozed and carried everything away, I had my driver's license. I had my birth certificate. And it took me months to get that. So some of those folks, this might have been the only way they were able to get a job. And just because you live in a tiny home doesn't mean you don't have a job. It just means that you can't, you can't live in a home or a condo or something like that. You have to live in a tiny home. So we've got to do something about this, folks, as a village, as a city, as a state, for those people who want to get in off the streets. Because some people, like I said, you're not going to be able to help them. They don't want to get off the streets. That's just kind of the way they want to live, and there's nothing you can do about it. But for the people who genuinely want to get off the streets, we've got to help them get off the streets, because that's what we do in Vegas. We just don't let people stay out there. We don't usher in all of our great sports teams and all these great things, Adele charging $3,000 for a ticket, and then forget the people who are living on the streets. That's just not who we are. We can't have Cirque du Soleil buffets and all these brand new Gordon Biersch and all these people, Bobby Flay, and all these great things that come here, and then forget those people who are living in the tunnels underneath Caesar's Palace. That's the pastor's heart, folks. Anyways, we're out of time. If you would like to get your copy of Livin in Vegas magazine, go to our website, livininvegas.com. That's livininvegas.com. Be sure to follow us, folks, on Twitter, on Instagram, because on Twitter and Instagram, we're there all evening long, generally, especially on the weekends. Love to be there on the weekends because so much is going on the weekends. And so we're on there a lot. And once again, tell everybody about the show. Tell everybody about the show. If you're on YouTube, you're watching us, be sure to subscribe right there. Subscribe. Oh, I forgot to even put up my Well, my advertising it. But anyways, this has been Sherman Ray for the Livin in Vegas podcast. I want to thank you all for being a part of the show. We'll see you again Friday, where we'll talk about the people, the places, the trends, the events that shape the city of Las Vegas. When you think of living in Vegas, think living local and the return of cool. This has been Sherman Ray. We'll see you tomorrow. Or see you Friday, 8:30.